Hi everybody, today I'm going to be talking about animal testing and why I should stop. So, have you ever thought about the products that you use in your daily life and how they could have been tested on animals before it got into approved for human consumption? I listed out some of the daily products that could be tested on animals. They include laundry products, makeup, toothpaste, mouthwash, razors, deodorant, shampoo, conditioner, and even cleaning products. I just listed some of the few companies that test on animals. This is nowhere near the amount of companies that still test on animals. They include Axe Body Spray, Ray, Johnson & Johnson, Clorox, and even NARS Cosmetics. Alright, so some animal testing statistics. Each year, more than 100 million animals, this includes mice, rats, frogs, dogs, cats, rabbits, hamsters, guinea pigs, monkeys, fish, birds, the list goes on and on. They are killed in U.S. laboratories for biology lessons, medical training, curiosity-driven experimentation, and chemical, drug, food, or cosmetic testing. And on the picture, it just shows which states use what animal for lab testing. In Illinois, you can see that it's dogs. Alright, there are three main reasons why companies need to stop testing on animals. First of all, it doesn't make sense to be testing on animals if the product is made for human or human consumption. Number two, testing on animals is cruel and inhumane. And number three, there are other ways to test products and vaccines. There's another solution to be able to test products that doesn't include animals. Alright, so testing on animals does not make any sense. It's pretty clear that humans are not the same as animals. We have different ways our body responds to different diseases, and overall, we just have a different way of living. Diseases that are artificially induced in animals in a laboratory, whether it be mice or monkeys, whatever animal may be, they are never identical to those that occur naturally in our bodies in human beings. And because animal species differ from one another biologically in many significant ways, it becomes even more unlikely that animal experiments will yield results that will correctly be interpreted and applied to the human conditions in a meaningful way. Meaning, why are you testing something on a rat that is going to be used for a vaccine for babies? It just doesn't make any sense. In addition, animal tests have scientific limitations as different species respond differently when exposed to the same chemicals. Alright, some of the quotes that I have on here. These are all from PETA.org. According to former National Cancer Institute Director Dr. Richard Klausner, we have cured mice of cancer for decades and it simply didn't work for humans. Although at least 85 HIV/AIDS vaccines have been successful in non-human primate studies, as of 2015, every one of those has failed to protect humans. And lastly, 94% of drugs that pass animal tests fail in human clinical trials. According to neurologist Aisha Akhtar, over 100 stroke drugs that were effective when testing on animals have failed in humans. Number two, testing on animals is cruel and inhumane. Before their deaths, some animals are forced to inhale toxic fumes, others are actually immobilized in restraining devices for hours, some have holes drilled into their skulls, and others have their skin burned off, and sometimes even their spinal cords crushed. In addition to the torment of the actual experiments themselves, animals in laboratories are deprived of everything that is natural and important to them. They are stripped away from their home and taken to a lab where they are confined to barren cages, socially isolated, and psychologically traumatized as well. Not only do these animals suffer through these experiments, but if they do survive the experiments, they're killed either way through decapitation, neck breaking, and even asphyxiation. So if they survive the abuse that's going on through the experiment, at the end of the experiment, it wouldn't really matter because they kill them either way. No pain relief is provided through the experiments nor when they're killed. There's no protection for the majority of the animals, and many don't even count towards the high number of animals used for experimentation since they aren't covered by the Animal Welfare Act. Alright, there's some of the quotes I have on here. In the US, the species most commonly used in experiments, mice, rats, birds, fish, reptiles, and amphibians, compromise 99% of all animals in laboratories but are specifically exempted from even the minimal protections of the Federal Animal Welfare Act from PETA.org. And according to the Humane Society, in the case of cosmetic testing on animals, statistics reveal that if the animal isn't killed during the testing, it's killed when the experiment ends. All right, and lastly, which I think is also the most important, there are other methods or solutions to stop testing on animals. Testing on animals is not the only way to go to test for products and vaccines. Other research methods, such as in vitro testing, which is tests that are done on human cells or tissues in a petri dish, they offer the opportunity to reduce or replace animal testing completely. Technological advancements in 3D printing allow the possibility for tissue bioprinting. And there's actually a French company that is working to bioprint a liver that can test the toxic effect that it has on a drug. The Environmental Protection Agency is so confident in alternatives that the agency intends to reduce chemical testing on mammals by 30% by 2025, and it wants to end all mammal testing by 2035. Humane Society International found that animal tests were more expensive than in vitro testing in every scenario studied. Unlike animals that are used for research, humans are able to actually give their consent to be used in testing and are a viable option where the need arises. For example, the pandemic that we are going through, the COVID-19 pandemic, it demonstrated that researchers can actually completely skip the animal testing and go straight to observing how vaccines work in humans. One company working on a COVID-19 vaccine called Moderna Therapeutics worked on developing a vaccine using new technology. Instead of being based on a weakened form of the virus, it was actually developed using a synthetic copy of the COVID-19 genetic code. This just proves we have volunteers. There are people that volunteer to have these vaccines tested on them. Animals don't necessarily need to be tested on them. It's just another form of not wanting to use, for example, human volunteers or the in vitro testing. I have one other quote on here. It says, research with human volunteers, sophisticated computational methods, and in vitro studies based on human cells and tissues are critical to the advancement of medicine. Cutting-edge non-animal research methods are available and have been shown time and again to be more accurate than crude animal experiments, from PETA.org. In conclusion, after reviewing the problems that occurs with animal testing, including animal abuse, inaccurate results, and better options altogether, it is clear to see why testing on animals should be stopped. Companies that test their products on animals should stop immediately and try out the other solutions suggested. I hope that we can all take in this information about animal testing and avoid buying products that are actually tested on animals. This will hopefully send a message to the big companies that we don't agree on how they test out their products, and hopefully they can try those other alternatives. And I hope that we can all try and make an impact in those innocent animals' lives. Thank you guys.